All right. Good evening. Welcome to the Huddle with me, Coach Muddle, Nevada Nick, and of course, the great Stizz. We're going to talk some fantasy football tonight, and also we're going to get into some future picks from Nevada Nick. And first
Coach,
of all,
it's your girl's go-to fantasy guru. First of all, can you read that?
Okay. No, I can't even see it. It's but I just want you to know where I am experiencing some technical difficulties. So trying to make this up. We have no phone line. We have no intro music. We don't, so it's kind of bare bones tonight.
Just be happy we have a show with Coach.
There you go. Exactly. Just a, So we're just happy to have a show. So
we're running with the Bulls, fellas.
Yeah. There you go, running with the Bulls. There you go.
All right, so Coach, you want to jump right into it with the obviously start with. I mean, look, I think it was today or yesterday. We're a month from the Eagles' first preseason game, so we're pretty much right up on it here. I think preseason starts here in the next 10 days to 2 weeks where teams got to report. So big fantasy sleep. Okay. But, looking forward to football season. Like I always say, I'm ready for summer to be over because the fall is my favorite time of year. There's nothing like that first Sunday waking up and having football. I know we all get excited. I know Stizz is ready. He's running his mock draft. There's nothing like it. Gambling, fantasy football. If you got your favorite team, there's nothing like Sundays in the fall.
Absolutely. Unlike the other football, soccer. And I just got to share this story real quick before we get into it. I know it pisses Nevada Nick off. That's why I'm doing it. Okay. But listen, so, as you know, it was whatever it was. Was that the World Cup? I don't even know. It was some soccer tournament. Euro Cup. So it was Italy and England. And,
right.
Of course, being down here in South Florida, there's an English pub. And I mean, it was packed, asses to elbows. And I'm like, oh, I got to stop in and watch some soccer there if I'm going to do it. Right. So I go in there and you would think it's the Super Bowl for England. And everything is the Super Bowl for them. I don't understand the whole soccer thing for them. It was weird. It was a great time. I just putting it out there. Angela,
Coach,
what's up? How you doing?
What's up, Angela? That was an unbelievable story, Coach, and was needed for the show that you were at a bar that had the soccer on and English.
Yeah,
soccer.
with all they're all singing and
dude, they love football. I mean, football is the biggest
man.
sport in the world, and I'm not talking about our football. I'm saying soccer,
football.
Football, exactly. Mm-hmm. I mean, I always loved how the announcers would just scream goal for like 20 minutes. It seems like, no, but obviously in America, the sport that rules all is American football. So let's get into that.
We are getting into it, and real quick, Angela, just so you know, the 60th pick by the Athletics, was a kid from my area, my where I'm at these days. So I just thought I'd do a shout out there. Got picked number 60, third baseman at UVA right now.
What's his name?
Geloff. So I umpired a few games he was in as a youngster. So and it was fun. So good kid. Good kid.
You're most likely looking at a bus, Angeles.
I didn't say I coached him. I was an umpire for this kid.
He's okay, man. Okay.
Little league and all the way up. So it was he great kid. Probably could have went D1 in football as a kicker and soccer as well. I mean, 3-sport athlete was pretty good. So I don't be surprised if in the near future he's probably not playing in the show.
Well,
Soon.
to me, and I know obviously we'll get into football, but that's got to be the hardest to try to predict is baseball. And you see these guys that they'll say are can't miss prospects that, look at Don Brown for the Phillies. He was the number one prospect in baseball. And, he didn't make an all-star game, but it was because the Phillies sucked. But yeah, so probably the hardest sport to really tell about how the talent's going to translate into the being a professional.
Right.
We'll see what happens. I know a guy locally here, Ben Davis. He was the number 2 pick. His dad was my math teacher, number 2 pick overall of the Padres, and he had a career, but didn't really pan out being a number 2 pick. But let's start with some fantasy football. Stizz, where do you want to start, man? You're the fantasy guys. You want to start rookies, or what do you want to do, buddy?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's start with the rookies since, we just had the draft not too long ago.
Right.
You tell me which route you want to go, and let's roll with it.
All right, let's start with the rookies. So we already know not to draft the Giants' first-round pick because he is not going to do anything. He's going to have trouble seeing the field. Okay, I mean, let's just be honest. The first-round pick is a guy who's going to come in and contribute. I don't see this guy being a contributor.
I can assure you right now, Coach, that he will not go in any fantasy drafts unless you have a super, super, super deep roster. Right. So you don't have to worry about him going anytime soon.
Well, especially when you go get a guy like, come on, Stizz, help me out. The receiver from Detroit that the Giants got picked up. I'm drawing a blank. Galladay. Yeah, and you already have who both you guys were high on last year in Slayton. So if Kadarius Toney, it's a wait and see approach. Obviously, I think if you're a fantasy guy,
Shepard.
Yeah, and Shepard. So if he has a good preseason or a good game or two, maybe he's a waiver wire pickup at best. I would think right now, Stizz.
Sure. I mean, and that's the big thing. I mean, we have to wait. We have to wait to see what the preseason. I mean, how much of the starters going to play? It's going to be mostly, the rookies who's going to make the team. I would hope so. And we see, where these receivers, where these running backs, where these prime position players are slated, on the roster as the 2, as the 3. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, and I think right. I think too, you're going to see more guys play a little bit more this year, just because of all the injuries last year. I'm not saying these guys are going to be playing whole games, but I don't think you're going to see the whole. A lot of guys did not play last year, and that was the strategy. I know we're only going to have 3 preseason games this year, but I do believe you're going to see more guys get some playing time because there's shape and then there's being in football shape. You know how it is, Coach. You got to take a couple hits. You got to, it's just the way on your body. I mean, to expect somebody to go from just practicing and then playing a full, 60-minute game, that's a lot to ask, out of somebody for your body, and your body needs to get used to it. So I think we're going to see more guys play. But Stizz, go ahead into your rookie, talk about some of the rookies you're looking at.
Let me a quick remark real quick to my man Sammy Moore. Sammy, we got an opening in my fantasy league. If you want to jump in, if you're taking them 2 fantasy picks this year, we welcome you in, brother. Come on in. Your money's as good as all the rest of these guys.
You just want to take your money, basically.
Hey, listen, I'm not prejudiced. I'll take anybody's money. I do like Antonio Gibson, though, Sammy. That's a good pick. I'm hoping J.D. McKissick don't take as many touches from him. I think they're going to use Antonio Gibson in the pass game a little bit more than they did last year. So I do like him a lot. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Nevada. What was your question?
No. So who are you looking at rookie-wise, going into this year?
Well, I could tell you 2 guys that I'm not looking at.
Okay.
And not because of their talent. That's obvious. But the 2 guys are Najee Harris and Kyle Pitts.
Okay.
And the reason why, talent-wise, they're unbelievable. Where you have to take them in a fantasy draft, it's just too high for my liking. Najee Harris is going in and around late 3rd round.
Wow.
Late to mid 3rd round pick, which, for a running back, we see how many rookie running backs really make a first-year impact in the league. Not many. Not many. I mean, Zeke did it. Maybe Adrian Peterson, I can't remember really too many more. Rookies are tough, man. They're all wait and see approaches, and I try to bide my time with rookies. I'd rather take them, 7th, 8th round or a little bit later and take a shot. Same thing with Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is going, honestly, he's going 4th tight end off the board.
Wow.
And he's going late 4th, early 5th, round. And I mean, that's tough. You got Kel. Go ahead.
My question to you is, so, what is, for a guy like me, I'm not a fantasy guy. So that's why we bring your expertise in here. Yeah. And for some guys like, hey, Sammy, who's, as you see his first 2 picks, what are you going with? Where do you start? Do you start at quarterback? Is that what you're going with as your first pick? Where do you start in fantasy?
Did this video freeze?
There's video froze again. And
wow.
Man.
I know where I can answer that question for Stizz. He's gonna go. Yeah, I don't think he can hear us.
You guys are.
Now he froze again.
Let me see this. Hold on, Stizz. Let me pop you out, and we'll pop him out and see if we can't pop him back in. I think he might be. All right.
No.
We hear you.
I think it's. I don't know if it's. I wonder if it's through because your computer. Because last time the computer was.
Why do you always blaming it? Why are you always blaming it on me?
Because last time his computer was fine. Because last time his computer was fine. That's why.
Man, I don't control the internet at your guys' end. I only control the internet.
It's never on my end. That's all I know. And so, he did it. He used the same computer last time, and he was fine.
But
any better?
So, yeah, there you go now. You're good now. Yeah,
I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that, fellas.
That's all right.
Brand new laptop. Right. Dell laptop. But I don't know. So what was your question? What was your question, Coach? I know you said about the number one.
Where do you start? Where do you start with the picks? What would be if I'm playing fantasy football this year and I have my first round pick, regardless if I'm 1 or 12, where am I? What am I picking? Am I going with a quarterback or where do you start?
No, well, that's a good question, Coach. I would say your top 5 picks have to be running back. And the reason why is, we talked about it, for years. There's not too many 3-down running backs in the league. And you really have to gobble one of them up early. Last year, a couple of top receivers went, a la Michael Thomas, who was actually a bust last year. I mean, this year it's going to be Devontae Adams, depending on Aaron Rodgers' status. But I think you got to go running back early. Quarterbacks, it really depends on the league. Mahomes is going to go first, and I've been seeing him going, middle 2nd round, because the quarterback drop-off isn't as much as the running back drop-off is. So your number 1 or number 2 quarterback compared to, say, your number 8 to 10 quarterback, there isn't as much of a drop-off in points per game as there is from the number, say, 2 or 3 running back to the number 10 running back.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely.
So, absolutely. And what you come to see is, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, the running backs really drop off a lot. You're getting not that you're getting backups, but you're getting a lot of timeshare guys, which is a coin flip, as we all know. I mean, you got a lot of guys that come in as goal line backs, a lot of guys come in as pass catching backs, so you just don't know. And most every team is like that, so it's kind of hard to me myself personally. I mean, I usually like going late in the draft to get basically a top running back and a top wide receiver. I try to stay balanced as much as possible. This year, I think I'm going opposite end, and I think I'm going number 1 overall. As far as I'm looking as of today. So,
so you're talking about, obviously now you're talking a little bit about strategy, Stizz. Because obviously you won your league, so you have, first pick, and or well, first pick of what pick you want. Last year,
Correct.
Stizz, would you pick 8 or 9, right? Correct?
So last year, or year before last, actually, I finished next to last in the league, and I had the choice between the 8th spot and the 9th spot. I rolled a set of dice in the kitchen, and it came up 9, and that's where I drafted. And guess what? Last year, I was super high on CEH last year,
right?
Coming to Kansas City, super high. Well, guess what? A buddy of mine took him to pick before me at number 8, and I was pissed, okay, because I was really high on him. Well, guess what? Devontae Adams fell in my lap at number 9, and it was all smooth sailing from there. You might be able to see behind me a couple of these trophies, over here on my left. You'll see the big fantasy football 2020 trophy. So yeah, it was all over from there.
And what I think's tough too is when you had mentioned, because I think that I like the balance of being somewhere in the middle and being able to get 2 higher caliber players. But in the same sense, I agree with Stizz. You want to grab one of those good running backs because it really does come off the shelf after, we just talked about the bell cow running backs. There's like 4 or 5. That's it. After that, there's a pretty big drop off. Now you can try to be risky and grab a guy like a Miles Sanders who maybe you think has a big year, or a Zeke maybe you think has a bounce back year. But that's difficult. And part of it last year, Stizz, as a lot of the top picks, just injuries. Zeke, Saquon, McCaffrey, Michael Thomas ends up having a lot of injuries last year and having no impact. So I guess you can't really forecast injuries, obviously, but I'm curious to see what happens this year. And right now, what are the top 5 looking like right now?
So the top 5 consensus, that I've seen in fantasy so far has been McCaffrey, has been Derrick Henry. Now I'm in all points per reception leagues, which Coach, if you don't know, you get 1 point every reception you get. So getting a running back that catches the ball like a Kamar, like a McCaffrey, like a Dalvin Cook, is huge, and like a Zeke, for the last year or 2, he's been catching the ball a lot more. So top 5 I've seen: CMC, Derrick Henry, because the guy's just safe. The guy's just a beast. Unfortunately, if he caught the ball, this guy would be a top running back every year for the next 5-6 years.
But if you talk consistency, he's probably the most consistent you can count on to get you points. That he hasn't been hurt. You know what I mean? But a lot of touches on those legs, though, too.
There is. And I mean, he's getting, 340 carries, 350 carries a year. I mean, that takes a toll on you after a while. I mean, they run you to death. Look what they did to Dallas's running back. What was his name that came to the Eagles? DeMarco Murray. I mean, they killed that kid. Kid. You see, when he came to the Eagles, he had nothing left.
Right.
So so you got Dalvin Cook on that top 5 list. You have Kamara, of course, but Kamara, another suspect. That's my guy, Uncle Bill. That's his guy. I'm trying to pick his brain a little bit to see if he's taking him again this year in fantasy. He's not giving up any tapes, unfortunately. He wants to listen to what I got to say, but he won't give up any tapes on his end.
Well, and here's the thing too, Stizz. You're going to go about now. I know Drew Brees was kind of hampered and couldn't throw the ball down the field really, but he still was Drew Brees. He knew how to work the offense. He knew how to find the weaknesses in a defense. But to me, if I'm a defensive coordinator this year, it's going to be stop Alvin Kamara. Now obviously I know you got Michael Thomas, and Winston is going to be able to throw the ball down the field a little bit more, but I'm still going to trust Drew Brees, who has retired now, obviously, more than I trust Jameis Winston. And we know a guy who had 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. So you got to wonder how that's going to impact Kamara's stock.
Well, let me ask you something. Is Winston going to definitely be the starter this year?
I would think. I mean, I don't think Taysom Hill's a quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think. I agree with Nevada Nick. I think that he will be the starter going in.
I mean, if I'm Kamara, I hope so, because you got a better chance. I mean, you've seen Taysom Hill vulture a lot of goal line, touchdowns away from him. So you definitely don't want to see that. Number 5 overall, is kind of a toss-up. I've been seeing Zeke move up a lot. Dak's back healthy.
Mhm.
That offensive line is a little bit healthier than last year. I mean, that was their demise last, in 2020. You also see Jonathan Taylor moving up the list, rookie from the Colts last year. Now, the first 2/3 of the year, he was so-so.
Right.
Last third of the year, he really bolstered up and made a name for himself. So you're seeing him around the 5-6 pick. So, it could go either way. It could go either way.
I think with him too, Stizz, that's all about that Colts offensive line. Much like you said about Zeke's success in his rookie year. Look, Zeke was a player, but he also had the best offensive line in football that year as well.
Sure.
And what about my man Barkley?
Well, Barkley is going first round.
He's coming off an injury.
Well, that's the scary part, Coach. That coming off that ACL injury, it just, you bite your nails over that one. He's a talent beyond all talents. Giants really made some moves that I like. And, with a healthy Barkley, they're going to make some noise this year, I think. But who knows? I mean, one bad cut, man, and he goes down again.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, Coach, you want to put up what Sammy just asked about who are some guys with some fake hype and stay away from? And Stizz gave you one already. He was kind of alluding to before with Kyle Pitts. And look, and I agree with Stizz. I think he's going to be a player. But to come in and say he's going to be the fourth best tight end, I think is a little bit too much, especially with the fact Julio Jones is now gone too. So now everybody says, well, Calvin Ridley. Yeah, Calvin Ridley looks good, but now he's got to fight the fact that he don't have Julio Jones on the other side. So he's going to see some of those double coverages and all. So I'm curious to see how that affects the Falcons and affects Matt Ryan. I'm really curious about that. But as Stizz, do you have any guys that you think are a little, what do you guys say, fake hype?
Well, I can agree with you on Kyle Pitts. He's going way too early for my taste. I mean, right. For me, he has to be 1,000-yard receiver this year for him to earn that fourth round fantasy option. Right. And little tidbit of fact here: 1,000-yard tight end receiver. The last one, actually, I think the only one. I don't know if you guys know or could take a guess, but Mike Ditka, 1961. Okay, wow. We're all going all the way back to 1,076 receiving yards as a rookie tight end. Most rookie tight ends are averaging around 550. So, that doesn't do it for me at round 4.
That's a great stat. I didn't know that. I didn't know that no rookie tight end.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great stat.
Yeah. One had 1,000 yards and,
Speaking of tight ends, what about a guy like O.J. Howard from Tampa Bay? Obviously with all the talent going there, do you think it's good to take him? Obviously not top 5, but maybe as a flyer. I know you got Gronk there, but, maybe with the potential and all the weapons there and a guy like Tom Brady with his talents, or is that a stay away from for you?
For me personally, it's a stay away from. It's too crowded. It's too crowded. They still got Gronk. They still have I'm trying to think of the other tight ends.
Another guy coming off injury though, too.
Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate.
Thank you. Cameron Brate. So, there's 3 tight ends there. There's 3 running backs that catch the ball, pretty much all of them. You got 2 good receivers. So it's crowded there. So no, I'm staying away from him. I think there's about 20 other tight ends that I could take before him.
Yeah. Well, tight end's another position too, where you kind of got 4-5 guys, and then it's like you fall off a cliff. You know what I mean? When you talk about Kelsey, Waller, Kittle, I don't know who else you would throw in there, Stizz. I'm sure you can think of another guy or two. But those tight ends. After that, you said Pitts is 4, but man, it's a big fall off at tight end position.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Can we just go back to Pitts for a second?
Yeah.
You don't think that he is hey, pee-pee eater, what's up, buddy?
Hey,
Tommy, you still didn't get your money yet, Tommy?
I'll tell you, he said, Coach can attest this. He said I bet him $400. Coach, can you attest it wasn't $400? I didn't bet him $400. I bet him about Zimmer. He said it was $400.
I don't think it was $400. We'll have to go back and play the tapes.
I think it was 100 or 150. You have to go back and find it.
So, but my point is, you got Pitts and you got Ridley. So it's the same. I don't know if it's the same as having Jones and Ridley, but you have two legitimate receivers that the defense has to cover. So I don't think things might change as much as people think. One of those guys is going to get the ball because you can't double them both.
Right.
So I mean, some of that hype might be real with Pitts. I don't know. I think it's going to take some time for Matt Ryan to develop some chemistry with the kid and whatnot.
Here's the new thing too: you got a new offense too, so you got to factor that in. So you got a whole new offense that obviously Ridley's going to need to learn. Matty Ice is going to need to learn. Now, I do like the guy from the Titans. I think he was a good offensive coordinator. Did some nice things with the Titans. But Stizz, I think that's a good question to move from the Falcons. What do you think about Julio Jones this year?
Hold on, time out. Hold on now, Tommy. Now you're 300. Are you guessing? Are you just throwing dollar amounts out to make Nick pay? Because first it was 400, now it's 300 plus. I mean, come on, man. If you bet a guy, you know how much you bet him.
Right, he's out of his mind. I think it was 100 or 150.
Come on, man.
And hey, until Mike Zimmer steps on the field for that preseason game one, first day of preseason, he's still not the coach. So when he gets onto that first preseason day, I'll pay up. Now, Stizz, like you were saying, good, Stizz.
Yep. Now I was going to say you might be able to get even on that side bet too. Zimmer.
Right now, what do you think about Julio Jones stock with the Titans?
Well, he moves down a little bit, honestly, in fantasy wise. I mean, he was before Calvin Ridley last year. He was the man. He was the go-to guy. He was going first round for years and years and years. Now, he got injured a lot. He didn't score a lot of touchdowns, but the guy always had 100 catches, 1,300 yards,
1,300 yard seasons, man.
Coach, every year, consistency. Now he's going to a team where they focus more on the run game. 100%. As we see with Derrick Henry, I mean, get 350 touches a year, and a quarterback that's a little bit more conservative, and who has already a number one receiver there in AJ Brown.
Right.
So we'll see what his status is. We'll see if he stays healthy all year. That's for sure. But he is dropping a little bit. Julio's going in and around the 5th round, which is a steal. I mean, it really is. It's a steal if you ask me. But we'll see what happens with him.
Well, because that's another thing, too. Once again, I think Tannehill had a lot of success with Arthur Smith. And that, obviously he's now moved on to the Falcons. So let's see what, Tannehill can do. Because, look, Tannehill had a lot of struggles in Miami. Now, look, Adam Gase was his coach, so I think we all know why.
I was just going to say they're bringing Adam Gase back as a consultant for the Titans.
But no, let's see how that, transition is too. But, there's some question marks there, obviously. So it's kind of a wait and see type approach. Now, Stizz, any free agents that moved hands this year that you're looking at or looking to, go away from?
Well, I think the biggest free agent, in my opinion, this year, and I'm going to go to Coach's New York Giants, and I think Kenny Golladay. I mean, I think, this is going to prove to see what Danny Dimes has. He actually now has a true number one wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Now, last year, Kenny Golladay was seen, I think he only played 5 games. He had that hip injury. He never went on IR, which was kind of a little bit odd to me. Never put him on IR, but kept him off the field for the rest of the season, which was kind of weird. I don't know if he just didn't want to go on the field to get, possibly hurt more because he knew he was going to get traded or, go to another team or what. But I think with a healthy Saquon, with Kenny Golladay now as your number one receiver, he stays healthy. I think that was the biggest free agent move, in my opinion, this year.
Okay. And you bring up Saquon, too. I think that's a boomer bust guy. I really do. I think he's the type of guy, it's risky. But like I said, if he hits and has the type of year that Saquon can, he could have a huge year, especially with him. Because his big thing at Penn State, he could really catch the ball out of the backfield.
Right.
And let's see if Garrett, throws some screens with Coach's Giants. And, look, Saquon is the type of guy, man. And everybody's kind of been waiting for that potential. Maybe this is finally the year.
Well, because he's going to get paid.
Yeah.
It's about getting paid. So he's going to have to prove he can stay healthy if he wants the money. So
right.
We'll see. And Sammy, Galladay over Curtis Samuel, I have to say yes, because I'm sorry. I just think that Fitzmagic, is not the guy. He's too inconsistent. There's no consistency at quarterback in Washington for me.
Curtis Samuel, isn't he on the Panthers?
No,
he went from the Panthers to Washington. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean.
Now let me ask you another guy. Go ahead.
No, say, go ahead. Say, you got. That's good. Good.
No, but I was going to say, another guy. Well, I have two guys I want to throw at you. Nelson Aguilar, a former Eagle who had a big year in
Vegas,
and wound up signing that big contract to come to New England now. With that iffy with quarterback, you don't know if the rookie's going to start. Cam, the guy, there's that uncertainty. How does his stock, work?
Well, I would say Aguilar better hope that Mac Jones gets on the field sooner than later.
100%.
Cam Newton, we've seen last year from Cam Newton, he just doesn't have it anymore.
I agree.
He's not the Carolina Panthers Cam Newton that, they can rush all over the place and get in the end zone and throw the ball down the field 40, 50 yards. It's just not him anymore. So I don't know. I'd be a little tentative on Nelson Aguilar. I think his stock drops from last year.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Sammy, I look, Galladay, yes, has injury, but I'm taking Galladay over Samuel because of the quarterback. I think Danny Dimes can get the ball at better down the field, more consistent than Fitzpatrick, who's probably, what is he, getting ready to get Social Security this year or what?
Right.
He's been in the league forever, man.
One thing with Danny Dimes you got to watch out for. You just want to make sure he doesn't trip over his own feet.
Yes,
that's the only thing he can get in his way. As long as he's not running a wide open.
And he has been known to have happy feet. Feet,
Now, Stizz, I know with your team last year, Herbert was huge for you, obviously. Really big down the stretch. Any rookie QBs you're looking at? I had mentioned, obviously, on the last show about a guy like Trey Lance. If Jimmy G gets hurt,
come on,
he's on the waiver wire.
You know what I mean?
Hold on.
Sorry.
But are you looking at any rookie QBs? How about a Justin Fields or a Mac Jones? Or are you going to, obviously wait and see, not really looking at any of the QBs? And I'm obviously talking about as a backup to keep on your bench and say, hey, maybe if they look good, then you could pop them into the starting lineup. Or no, nothing.
Yeah. Personally, QBs are tough. Even backups. Trevor Lawrence, honestly, 16 rounds of fantasy football drafts. Trevor Lawrence is the only one that is going to go. And he's going to go late, maybe like the 13th round as your backup quarterback. The other guys are a wait-and-see approach. Zach Wilson's stepping right in as a starter.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence obviously is a starter. The other three guys are a wait-and-see approach.
Right.
So Trey Lance, I could agree with you. Number 3 pick overall. He did well in North Dakota State, but we all remember who else came from North Dakota State. All right. Coach can appreciate that. So,
yeah.
I wouldn't put too much.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't put too much. No, I wouldn't put too much in the Trey Lance. Not as of right now. You know what I mean? The NFL is a whole different beast than North Dakota State. So, but go ahead, Coach. What was your
now my other guy that I wanted to get to is, what do you think of Matthew Stafford coming over to the Rams in that different offense? He's been a consistent, 4,000-yard passer guy. Yeah. Now, is he another, does his stock rise a little bit going to that I wouldn't call it a pass-happy offense, but, they're a little more balanced in with the Rams.
Yes, yes, and yes. I love Matt Stafford this year. Now he's a guy that I tell you the truth, I wouldn't mind him being my starter. I'd rather him being my backup, but I'm eyeing him up this year to be my backup, my number 2 quarterback for sure. And yeah, Coach, I like the circumstance that he fell into in LA. I mean, he's got some good wide receivers there. He's got a young running back, Cam Akers, who really showed something at the end of the last year. He's got an unbelievable defense, number 2, number 1, 1.5, 2, defense in the league this year.
Right.
So yeah, really, and guess what? He's not afraid to chuck the ball. I mean, like you said, Coach, he'll throw for 4,500, 5,000 yards. You see him in Detroit. I mean, he did it with your boy Holiday. So yeah, I like him a lot.
Well, and then you also have a great offensive mind like Sean McVay too. So I think now, what range is he going? Do you notice this off the top of your head? What range Stafford's going in?
He's probably going maybe 8th round, and 8th round. So I would say number wise, quarterbacks, he's probably going in and around the 12th quarterback taken off the charts.
12. Okay.
Yeah.
I think there's some value in there. I really do, because Goff was just so inconsistent. Now I do think their offensive line's a little older, but Stafford can move a little better than Goff. I think him and McVay are going to have success together. And look, Cooper Kupp, who I love, I know Stizz is a fan of, he was banged up a lot last year. You're getting him, and then obviously you got Robert Woods. So there's
Bobby Trees, baby. Yeah, Bobby Trees. Yeah. There goes Brian Boo Ellis. Holy crap.
There he is.
And
you know what? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question, Brian. What about Wentz now that he goes to an offense that he is familiar with? And, it's kind of his thing. And I honestly, with their running game, I really think that it's helps him quite a bit with that running game in Indy.
Well, I think so too. I think Wentz, he definitely got an upgrade, that's for sure. Behind a great offensive line, he's got a great young running back. His receivers, I think, are a little suspect. T.Y. Hilton's getting old as dirt. You know what I mean? A couple of them other receivers doesn't really have a tight end to speak of.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't trust Wentz. I really don't. I have to see it.
Well, they're looking for Pittman to kind of have a bounce. Pittman's a second year or third year guy. But I would like them to pick up. That's the kind of team I wanted to see go get a Julio Jones, because look, I know Wentz now has a line and a running game, but I agree with Stizz 100%. I just don't know how much you got left in the tank with T.Y. Hilton. And you're asking a guy like Pittman, who hasn't shown much, like, he's going to come on the field and be a solid number 2, and I'm not sure that he is that yet.
Now, do you think they get into the Zach Ertz conversation?
They should if they were smart, Coach. But now let me go back to what you brought up earlier too, Nick, is the O.J. Howard. He's the odd man out in Tampa. I could see them moving on. And because they're going to have to option him. He's coming up on his 5th year or whatever, type of thing. I could see them moving and letting him go and getting into that option as well. That be an option for them or Buffalo.
Brian just said that, and that's the talk, is that Ertz is going to go to the Bills. I think it's Bills, Colts, or Cardinals. I think it's one of those 3 teams. I really do.
And any one of the 3 would be perfect too. To be honest with you, Bills are really either a running back, a solid running back, or a solid tight end away from really making some noise against Kansas City.
Yeah, and Stizz, I think it's a little bit of their line too. I really do. But yeah, I remember Stizz. I was actually watching a show of us from earlier in the year in the playoff season, and that's what Stizz said. He goes, "Man, if Buffalo ever got a running game, just imagine how dangerous they could be." Now, look, the Chiefs can ignore the run because you got so much talent. The Bills, look, you like them, but man, if you added a running game to that, they would just be so much more lethal. And that defense started playing a little bit better down the stretch for the Bills. Let's see. That's a question, Stizz.
Listen, they added the best pass rusher in the draft with the Bills. I was high on Rousseau.
Right. But now, Stizz, does Josh Allen match his year he had last year, you think? Or is it maybe a step back type of year?
Hey, it's really hard to match that, to be honest with you. I mean, he was the number one fantasy quarterback last year. So, I think he's still going to do well. I mean, he's the number one rusher on that team, as we see. Right. It is crazy, but it is what it is. So I'm not taking too much away from him, but it's very hard to repeat as number one, back-to-back years.
You put up what Angela said, Coach. Stizz, you want to answer that?
Angela, I went the old Sylvester Stallone over the top with the hat on today. I haven't worn a hat, I don't think, since probably high school. Maybe college. So yeah, I don't know. We'll wait till the full season starts. We'll wait for preseason and all that stuff, and I've watched together. I'll be busting the Vada's balls. I'll be coach balls. Go from there. Today, I'm low key today, Ainsley. but you know what? I'll make a remark. I'm glad you did sit on Trevor Lawrence's lap because you probably could have got a free meal. Oh, shit.
He's got paid too. All right, now, Coach, you want me to get into my over/under picks? Stizz, I think you're going in and out again, Stizz. Yeah. Now, Coach, you want me to go into my? I have 2 over/under picks. I want to give for over/under wins. Obviously, do you have those ready to put up, Coach?
I got them ready to go. Ready to go.
So, and then one guy I will give out fantasy-wise. I don't know if Stizz is going to come back or not, but one guy I will give out fantasy-wise. I like Miles Sanders, and you can call me a homer, but I really think
homer.
But still, this is the guy who's Kenny Golladay, Saquon Barkley, Danny Dimes. But no, Coach, you don't think that offensive line for the Eagles is going to be much improved this year? And Sirianni's going to run the ball?
Well, Sirianni, we're yet to see what he's got going on.
But if Miles Sanders stays healthy, I think he's going to have a big year. I really do. But yeah, so my first over/under, and you call me a homer again. Is it? You have it ready, Coach, to put up?
Homer, there you go. It's up.
Eagles over 6.5 wins. This is a 7-win team, so they got to win 7, go 7-10. Everybody's doubting the Eagles. Think the Eagles have a terrible roster. Look, they go and get Kerrigan, the defensive end from Washington. Nice pickup for their defense. Look, they had a ton of injuries last year. I mean, let's not forget, you're missing Jeffrey, Ertz, Goddard, Lane Johnson most of the year, Brandon Brooks, Pro Bowl guard. I mean, they had a load of injuries last year. I think Miles Sanders could have a big year. I think that offensive line, let's not forget they draft Landry Dickinson. I really think, look, I'm not saying the Eagles are going to be in the playoffs, but to say they can win seven games and be 7-10, I don't think is a tall task. I like Eagles over 6.5. My other one, the second one I love. I mean, look, the Colts were 11-5 last year, okay? And that's with Phillip Rivers. And I think we all know Phillip Rivers, his best days were behind him. I love the Colts at over 9.5 with an extra game, okay? With an extra game. They're going to have 4 games against Houston and Jacksonville. That's 4 wins right there, in my opinion. So then you got 13 games that you need to win 6 of and go 6-7 because I don't think they're losing to Houston or Jacksonville. I really don't. So I'm going to go Colts over 9.5. I really like the Colts. Think they're going to be a good team. If they can put it together, I do think they need a receiver, like Stizz said. But they're going to be a dangerous team. I think they improve with Wentz. Great offensive line. Stizz mentioned Jonathan Taylor. I think it'd be a big year. Angela, yeah, I do think the Raiders will go over 7 wins, but I have them right around there, right in that 7. I have them at 8 and 9. I think it was when we did it on the show, Angela. So I do think they will win 7 games, but I like what they did defensively, but people are disregarding what the Raiders did offensively in dismantling that offensive line, and I just don't understand it. And I think although their defense will play better, I think their offense is going to take a step back. And Derek Carr's out there talking about Super Bowls and that. And come on, dude, win a playoff game first. Get in a playoff game first. Not to be – and I'm not trying to hate on the Raiders, but it's a lot of talk. Like, just go
well,
get
when
to
your
the
coach
playoffs
is
first.
18 games under 500 since winning a Super Bowl,
It's worse than that, Coach. Not to be –
is.
it's worse than that. And I really think Davis regrets now making that decision.
A 10-year deal, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're tied to this guy. He has way too much power. And then, Coach, I'm going to give two division winners, too. I love the Browns plus 140. So you bet $100, you get $240. So it's plus 140. I love the Browns plus 140 to win the AFC North. I think they're a very talented team. You see the upgrades with Clowney on defense. They drafted two young linebackers. You know, you add the safety from the Rams and Jonathan Johnson. I really like what the Browns did. The big question is going to be Baker Mayfield, but I think they do have a good shot at winning the AFC North. And then I'm going to go with, which I think is unless injuries happen, I think is the lock of the year, Tampa Bay minus 180 to win that division. They are the best team in the NFC South by far. The Saints are the second best team. You got a new QB coming in. The Bucs are returning 22 starters from a Super Bowl team, and I think the Bucs will be better this year. That doesn't mean they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they just won a Super Bowl. This team knows how to win. They'll be better this year. They'll have a better record than they did last year. Doesn't mean they're going to necessarily win the Super Bowl, but I think they'll be better than that 11-5 regular season they were last year. So I'm going to take the Bucs to win the NFC South. And then one other thing too, Coach. I think there's great value. Packers. You can get the Packers at 8-1 to win the NFC Championship, or it's 15.5, 16-1 to win the Super Bowl. And a lot of that is on the uncertainty of Aaron Rodgers. But I think we all know now here, we're at July 13th. He's not going anywhere. He's going to play in Green Bay, but I think he's going to let them be known. It's going to be the farewell Aaron Rodgers tour. He's gone no matter what. Even if they win the Super Bowl, this will be his last year in Green Bay. But I think you're getting great value getting a team like Green Bay, who was in the NFC Championship game last year, at 8-1 to win the NFC Championship, at 15.5, 16-1 to win the Super Bowl. So go take that. And then whenever the line for the Texans come out, I don't care if it's 2 games. Bet under. Yeah, me and Stizz are going to be all over it. The Texans are going to be the worst team in football. And my guess is going to be 4.5, probably, maybe 4. Bet under. The Texans are going to stink.
And Sammy, yes, you did miss the NFC East prediction. It's the Giants winning the division.
Of course
Not
it
for
is.
me. Yeah.
Of course it is.
I mean, I'm going to say the same thing, and I truly mean this. I think the Giants are the most balanced team in the division. I think the Cowboys have the best offense. I think the Redskins have the best defense. But I really mean this when I say I would not be surprised if any of the 4 teams won it. No, I think the Eagles, if I ranked, I'll be honest, I think the Eagles I would rank probably 4th in that division. But still, I wouldn't be surprised if any of the 4 teams won it. That's how close I believe that division is.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Angela's asking about the All-Star game. You got anything on that?
Yeah, I do. So NL wins tonight. I agree with Brian Buells. American League, my brother just informed me the American League's won 7 straight. I'm going to go with the National League. You got Tatis, a young guy, Ohtani starting, and he had a 3.4 ERA.
And he's batting 1.
Right, which unbelievable. But I think the NL is going to have a big game tonight. I'm going to take the NL. I'm going to take the NL. And just so you know, too, I got screwed last night. Okay, look, Pete Alonso is going to win the Derby, but my degenerate ass bet Joey Gallo to win. Yo, he tied the guy, but because it was in Colorado, they gave a home run. Look if you can watch it too, Coach. Story, it was 0, and the guy had the ball in his hand still, and they gave it to him. But yet for Gallo, they took it off. So I got screwed last night. But that's baseball for you. The uniforms are hideous, but like I said, I would go with the National League. What did Sammy just say? Help you and play I can see NFC sending 3 teams. Yeah, I don't see that happening, Sammy. I don't think the NFC can send 3 teams. because to me their teams are more mediocre. No, I mean,
right.
If there's a division that's going to send 3 teams, it would be the NFC West, in my opinion, with the Niners, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. That's the deep division. That's the division to me that could send 3 teams. So
they shouldn't send any teams out of the NFC East to the playoffs.
No,
they should just take that whole division out.
Well, they're getting better. They're getting better, and I think it'll come down again to the final week, I believe. I'm just tired of the NFL doing these schedules with meaningful games on Thursday night. Why are the Giants playing the Redskins? Why don't you pick the old AFL, NFL rivalries for Thursday night? I know you want ratings, but why do you have to have one that carries so much weight in the standings, for a loss? I just don't agree with that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Coach. And look, Stizz, he looks like that skit on. Remember the skit on Conan in the year 2000? He's in the dark. That should be his right now.
I'm going against the sun. Just came in and it's going through my sliding glass door, and for some reason it just blocked everything behind me out. It does look pretty cool though. I appreciate that, Angela.
Yeah,
I'm trying to create a nice ambiance for you.
There you go. Which hopefully, Angela, we'll be seeing you in October.
Yeah. And what Brian said, real quick, Coach. I you know what? I don't think the NFC East is as bad this year. I understand last year they were. I really think a lot of these teams have improved. Look, who gave the Bucs the best game in the playoffs this year? The Redskins did, with Taylor Heineke at quarterback. They gave the Bucs seriously. They gave the Bucs the best game of any of the teams.
Right.
Look, and let's not forget too. They all started bad last year. I thought the Giants were much better down the stretch. The Redskins were much better down the stretch. And look, the Cowboys and Eagles had loads of injuries. Anytime you lose Dak Prescott and the injuries the Cowboys had, and you lose your whole offensive line, your receivers, and the mess that was the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not as bad as I know they want to call it the NFC least, but they're not as bad as everybody said. Obviously,
we're going to see. Angela,
we're going to see you twice, hopefully in New York and in Vegas.
Right. Yeah. We're going to New York though too, Coach.
Yes, we're definitely going to New York, but we're going to go. Hopefully, we'll see you in Vegas as well.
In New York, I will be sporting the silver and black, because I hate the Giants too, so I'll be a Raiders fan that day. Stizz looks like a Raiders fan now with his black.
My silhouette. My silhouette.
Stizz, if you put your Jerry Rice jersey on, all you'd see is your head right now with that Jerry Rice jersey with the black and the silver.
I like it. If we had more time, I'd go up and get changed. Hey, listen, I got a couple. Before we sign off, we got a few minutes. So I wanted to throw out, since I'm not going to be back on here until probably preseason or whatever. I got a couple sleepers for you guys if you're interested.
Oh, good, yeah, go.
Couple rookie sleepers anyway.
Okay.
The first one I'm looking at here is Javonte Williams, running back that went to Denver out of North Carolina. Denver traded their second or fourth round pick to move up ahead of Miami, if you remember, to get this kid.
Right.
Denver's got Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon's in his 7th year right now. He's only had 1 year so far as a 1,000-yard rusher. The kid's getting old. I mean, he's 28 going into this year. Right. So I really think within the first, say, 4 weeks or so, Javonte Williams takes over as that lead role back in Denver. So that's my first sleeper. I'm going to look for him around maybe 7th round, 6th, 7th round, and try to snag him up. My other guy, you probably won't see anybody take this guy in drafts, but he's going to be my last round guy. He's a wide receiver me and Nevada were talking about that went to the LA Chargers. 3rd round pick, number 77 out of Tennessee, Josh Palmer for the Chargers. Now, Herbert,
the wide receiver coach for the Chargers, friend of the program.
Yeah.
Okay. Right on. That's what I'm talking about. Herbert was my guy last year in all 3 leagues. And Keenan Allen was the guy last year. He's been the guy, for his whole career. Mike Williams is number 2. I'm really not sold on Mike Williams. He's 4 years in the league. He's their number 2 receiver. Last year, he only had 5 touchdowns, a meager 700 yards catching. He's never had over 50 yards receiving in his 4 years. And they still have Tyron Johnson. They still have Jalen Guyton as their other receivers on their team, their second and third year receivers, which they didn't do much. I'm looking for Josh Palmer as your really sneaky last round wide receiver to get in your drafts. Wow. Keep an eye on him.
And Stizz, too, not to forget, the Chargers lose Hunter Henry. So some of his touches need to go somewhere, too. So
great point, Nevada. 93 targets last year that are vacated.
Right.
Got to go somewhere, right? So, yeah.
Right.
Why not do a slot receiver, a guy like Palmer? And look, Williams, too, he's very up and down. You know what I mean? He has these points where he looks real good. And look, Herbert, a young guy, too. Young guys tend to kind of gravitate to each other. You know what I mean? So I'm real curious to see if him and Palmer get some kind of chemistry early. I mean, obviously, Keenan Allen's Keenan Allen. Like Stizz said, he's just one of those guys that you can count on. But no, I agree with you, Stizz. It's one of the guys I really like too.
Yeah. He's sneaky, that's for sure, because nobody's been talking about him. Nobody probably even knows him. So he's going to be your last round pick.
Coach, you got any sleepers?
All right. Yeah, actually I do. The running back for the Jets that the Jets picked up, because I think they're going to start to establish that running game again.
Okay.
The kid from North Carolina, I keep my eye on him.
They had two good running backs. Michael Carter,
correct.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
the Jets, and that's going to be a big because like Stizz mentioned earlier, Zach Wilson, he's going to be the starter from day one. But I agree with Stizz. It's hard to count on a team with the Jets. And I look also too. You got Robert Saleh coming in. Now, one thing I know you might laugh at this. I could see the Jets defense kind of surprising some people. Saleh gets guys to play hard for him.
Yeah,
and they do have some guys like Mosley from the Ravens who opted out last year. Patriots got a bunch of guys who opted out too. That's why I think the Patriots can be better defensively, obviously. I don't know about that offense and Cam Newton. Maybe if Mac Jones comes in, like Stizz said. But, I really do think the Jets defense can be a little better than people think. Joe Douglas had a nice draft this year. So, and he went after the offensive line too, Coach. So maybe you could be right in regards to the running back. I agree with you. I think they know they messed up with Sam Darnold. Obviously, they know they made a mistake with him. They want to give Zach Wilson some weapons on the outside.
He's my other sleeper.
Right, a good offensive line and a foundation. And just real quick, Sam Darnold, stay away from with the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not drafting him.
Comeback player of the year, Sam Darnold.
So now definitely stay away from him. He'll probably tear his ACL in week 1. Angela, I think Tatis Jr. may win the MVP tonight. That's another Nevada Knicks special. I love Tatis Jr. I love the Padres. I bet them to win it all with the Mets. I just the kid's a beast. So we'll see what happens.
All right, sounds good. All right, everyone. Next week, I'll let you know. We'll be here Monday or Tuesday, I think, depending on Nevada Nick and his big, if he could squeeze us in to his big, heavy schedule. We'll see, but other than that, make sure you like it, share it with your friends, put it out there, tell your friends.
Coach, when you're a jet flying, limousine riding, handicapper like me and like Stizz, you know what I mean? I got obligations.
I'm just riding the shirt tails.
Yeah.
I'm just riding the shirt tails, man. That's it. I'm just riding.
Stizz has got the pressure this year to 32-10. He's got to back up. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it.
There you go.
Listen, Coach. Nevada pulled up in an Uber and went home in something smoother.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Listen, I appreciate you guys having me on here tonight.
Good times.
You're welcome anytime. We love having you on, man. It's great. We appreciate it. Everyone, enjoy some baseball tonight if you're still watching that stuff. And if not, man, we'll be back next week with something. So enjoy, have fun, be safe, and we'll see everybody next week.